What if the hardest season of your life is not happening to you, but happening for you? I know how that sounds when you are inside the pain. I know it can feel like one of those things people say from the safety of their comfortable lives to make suffering sound poetic, when it is anything but. So I am not going to ask you to feel good about what you are going through. I am not going to dress difficulty in the language of blessing and call that honesty. What I am going to do is show you, with evidence so specific and so undeniable that you will not be able to argue with it, that the hardest seasons of a life are almost always the seasons that produce the strongest people. Not because suffering is noble, because what a human being does inside the suffering determines everything about who emerges on the other side.
Tough times do not last, but what they build in the people who survive them, the character, the resilience, the unbreakable core that only pressure can produce, that lasts forever. And today, I want to prove that to you through 3 lives that were forged in fire so intense, it should have consumed them. It did not, because they were stronger. Welcome to Motivation Daily. Stay with me, because what these 3 people survived and what they built because of it is about to completely reframe the chapter you are currently living through.
Think about Aron Ralston. In 2003, Ralston was hiking alone in Blue John Canyon in Utah when an 800-pound boulder shifted and pinned his right arm against the canyon wall. He was alone. Nobody knew where he was. He had insufficient water and food for the days that followed. For 5 days, 127 hours, he was trapped, unable to free himself, rationing his water to drops, carving his name and date of death into the rock wall, recording final messages to his family on a video camera he had with him. On the 6th day, in a moment of either clarity or complete psychological breakdown, he has said he is still not sure which, he understood what he had to do. He broke his own arm. Then he amputated it below the elbow with a dull multi-tool knife. He then rappelled down a 65-foot wall one-handed and hiked 7 miles before being found by rescuers. He was asked afterward whether he regretted going alone. He said no. He said that the experience, as unsurvivable as it appeared from the inside, had given him a relationship with his own will and his own capacity for endurance that nothing else in his life could have produced. He went on to climb all 59 of Colorado's 14,000-foot peaks. He became an author and a speaker. He built a life of extraordinary physical challenge, not in spite of what the canyon took from him, but because of what the canyon revealed about him. Now, think about Malala Yousafzai, but through a lens specific to this conversation. We know she was shot. We know she survived. What most people do not sit with long enough is what happened in the months of recovery. The months in which a 15-year-old girl lay in hospitals in Pakistan and then Birmingham, England, undergoing surgery after surgery, rebuilding the neurological function that the bullet had disrupted, relearning the most basic physical capabilities, while the world watched and speculated and projected onto her a narrative she had not yet had the chance to write for herself. That period was not triumphant. It was grueling, private, and saturated with a pain that had no audience. And what emerged from it? The young woman who stood before the United Nations, who received the Nobel Peace Prize, who has spent her life since channeling every ounce of what that season cost her into the education of girls around the world, was not built despite those months of silent suffering. It was built inside them. The tough time was the forge. The person who came out of it was the steel.
And think about Jay-Z. Before the Grammy Awards, the business empire, the cultural influence that has made him one of the wealthiest and most respected figures in music and entrepreneurship, there was a childhood in the Marcy Houses projects in Brooklyn, New York,
that most people would not have survived intact. A father who left when he was 11, a neighborhood that offered crack cocaine as one of the more accessible economic opportunities available, a school system that could not hold his attention or his ambition. He sold drugs to survive. He watched people around him be consumed by the same circumstances that were consuming him. And he used the hours of that life, the specific texture of poverty and abandonment and survival, to write. Not literally at first, in his head, memorizing rhymes, building verses, storing lines, because he could not afford to write them down, and so committed them to memory instead. The circumstances that looked like a dead end were being converted in real time into the raw material of an art form that would eventually change the culture. Jay-Z did not become Jay-Z despite the projects. He became Jay-Z because of what the projects demanded of him. The resourcefulness, the hunger, the specific and irreplaceable perspective that only that life could have produced. The tough times did not last. The person they built became one of the most powerful in his industry.
Here is what those 3 stories confirm, what the evidence of human endurance confirms over and over again across centuries and continents and every conceivable version of adversity. Tough times are not the end of strong people. They are the making of them. Not automatically, not for everyone who suffers, not as a guaranteed outcome of any level of hardship, but for the people who make a decision inside the suffering. The decision to use it, to extract something from it, to refuse to let the cost of the experience go to waste by emerging from it exactly the same person who entered. You are in a tough time, or you have been, or you know one is coming, because that is simply the nature of a life being fully lived. And the question that this moment puts to you, directly, without softening, is not whether the tough time will end. It will. The question is who you are going to be when it does. Tough times do not last, but strong people do. Decide right now which one you are going to be. Share this with someone who is inside a tough season right now and needs to know they are being built, not broken. Subscribe to Motivation Daily. We show up every day for the people who are still standing. Drop a comment and tell me, what is one thing your hardest season has forged in you that you carry as strength today? Your answer is proof that you are already stronger than the tough time. Let's go.